Hello and welcome to the Lucidess podcast. My name is Shelley and I am here today sharing a bit of my journey and why do I do what I do. It initially began because I believe in the infinite, unbounded potential within each of us, which I still believe, but which feels farther and farther away. I swear every day that I live. So the other reason that I continue is that I think it's important. I think each of our journeys is precious and important to share, and this is my way of sharing. So, and today I have a little fellow on my lap. This is Finnegan. This is my daughter's cat. Um, my daughter recently moved in with me. A few months ago. She's going through a divorce, and so I get the pleasure of having her and her cat with me for a bit as she reestablishes and moves forward, which has been really interesting. It's been, as a mother, of course, I want to rush out and save her, and not save her, but just like I still want to very much be a mother, and the way she wants me to be a mother isn't what she needs. And so it's been very hands-off experience as a mom, and I wished I could be more involved. But I do understand. I often have to remind myself how I was with my mom. Um, so I'm grateful that I could provide her with this safe, loving space for her to reground and regroup and reinvest in herself and decide what's her next best step. Um, So, yeah, I think that's really a precious gift that I've been able to. It's interesting. I'm going to say it's this precious gift that I've been given by her asking and choosing to come here. So it doesn't even feel like a gift to her, it feels like a gift to me. So, and I've had the pleasure of getting to know this little fellow, this little cat. I'm sure he'll make a noise or step up, and I'll show him to you if he decides to. Um, so I got up this morning, meditated as I always do, and then right after my meditation, I always do an I Ching oracle, Yi Ching. It's called different things. I don't ask a question. I just 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 do an oracle and give it. It's based on elements: lake, mountain, fire, water, eight various elements. And I guess anyway, today's message, I want to get into that. That's for another day. But today's message was very much about I have an imbalance today in the outer world. I have way too much water and not enough fire. And so I tried to take that into account, and it's been an interesting morning. I went and tried to do a number of things before I go to work, and none of them have happened. And they just like that fell. So I finally have a little bit of time before I go into work today, and I was still feeling. I realized I was like, oh, I'm very watery, just like trying to go with the flow, and it's not working. The flow is not the way to move today. That I'm more of a fire, a connective. Bringing more passion and more connection and more focus isn't the right word, but anyway, more fire. And I decided the best way I could do that was to get out this and connect with the outer world. So I have no idea what I'm going to say. Again, lovely, lovely. I just know there's a lot of changes going on, and they're not at all what I thought. So I'll start with the big one. I know about a week ago, which I love, I did a podcast, and in it I said, oh, I have another hearing coming up, and I can tell that this hearing is going to be like a big one. Like things are going to change, and like that area of my life, it's going to move, and things are going to happen. And that's what I was saying about a week ago. So the day before the hearing, reached out to the prosecuting attorney and said, hey, just verifying tomorrow's. And she's like, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. I forgot to let you know your case has been reassigned again. So this is the third prosecuting attorney over the case because, whatever's going on, that, they had to be reassigned to whatever. So the case is being reassigned, which means the hearing's been postponed. It's going to happen in March. And I was just like, what the? I was sure that this was going to happen and it was time and da 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 da. Like, it's, yeah, I'm ready. And da 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 da. No. So we're still in the same place. It's been an interesting week of emotions where I've thought, well, this obviously isn't very important if this, the district attorney's office keeps reassigning it. It keeps just getting pushed down to the dregs, the bottom of the important list. And so I'm like, why are we even doing it? Like, why is the district attorney even bothering with this case? Like, they should just let it go. It obviously doesn't matter. And then also for me, like, it doesn't matter. Why did I ever decide to do this? Why did I ever decide I should report this? Like, it doesn't matter. It's almost been 3 years. It'll be three. So it's January 2025. And I reported in April 2022. So it's literally it literally will be like practically 3 years the next time there's a hearing. Nothing's happened since I reported. I mean, that's not true. Lots of stuff have happened, but that's how I feel. And I'm just like, why is the district attorney's office even prosecuting this case? Like, they should just let it go if they're not actually going to like commit to it and do it. I no longer even want to do it. I'm like, I'm done. Like, I just want to be done. I just want this thing to go away. And if it's not important enough to do, then let's just be done. Like, let's just be done. So I feel, and I, of course, I have no say in any of this. And people misunderstand this. So I'm going to say it again so people understand. This is a criminal trial. The state of Utah is prosecuting is charging, I might not get the words right, is charging this man who raped me. Okay. I am a witness. I am a witness in a criminal trial. This is not a civic trial. I am just a witness in a criminal trial that the state of Utah is trying to prosecute this man. I have no say about any of this. None. And people get confused about this. They're like, well, you should. And I'm like, no, you don't understand. I am a fucking witness. I am just a witness. I am just called to testify at this criminal trial. I don't have any say. Okay. So this is incredibly frustrating to have gone through what I went through, which is such a fucking helpless situation, rape period, but then having been drugged and raped. I mean, you're just so helpless. And now to be in this situation where I'm so helpless. And I would say it doesn't even, I was going to say it calls on faith. It doesn't even call on faith anymore. It's almost just like, it goes back to what I said, like, just, it's not even a letting go. It's more of accepting. Like, it's just that, I was going to say, it goes back to that surrender, open-hearted participation that I talked about last time. But probably open-hearted acceptance is also would be a good thing for me. So that's where the trial is. I don't feel like the state really cares. And at this point, I'm like, why did they even prosecute? And if they're not going to do it, then just let it go. I would rather they just be like, hey, we decided it's really not a great case. We're going to let it go. And I'll be like, okay, like, okay. Like that, it's going to suck either way at this point because I've invested so much, but I don't really feel like I need it to drag out anymore. So if it's not a good case to try, let's just be done. I know what happened. I spoke it. If that's where this thing goes, then so be it. Let's be done. So that's where the trial is. Still nowhere, and still me just navigating, like, what does it mean to have been raped and to report it and not have anything really come of it. And I know, the day's not done, but so far, have nothing come of it. I just begin to ask, like, why? Like, what is there a purpose? Like, is there a reason for any of what we do here? Like, what does matter? Like, what does matter? And honestly, I've asked myself kind of similar questions with my daughter living here. There have been times where I'm like, does it matter what I do? Like, she has wanted so much of her privacy and her space, and hasn't wanted to share a lot, which has been hard for me. And so I just asked myself, like, what does matter. Like, does it, you know, does anything matter? Like, some days I just say no, I don't think it does. And that it's all very sterile, meaning it's just an experience. I don't even know if there's any learning that's necessary. We came to experience. And if you're really good at experiencing, you might be able to experience your way out of this. I would say that's definitely the Buddhist, philosophy. Um, Other days, I think it all matters. That, every thought, every intent, every action has a place in this energetic universe. I think as I sort of come out of this deeply traumatized womb, so to speak, I had 3 pretty severe trauma experiences happen within less than 2 years. The rape was one of them. My divorce was the other one. And then a relationship with a sociopath. And those 3 happening so fast kind of just destroyed me. Didn't kind of, totally destroyed me. And anyone that knows me and watched it knows and can speak about that. So I feel like I've been in this trauma womb for years. And as I slowly come out, there's such enormous disappointment. Like, I can't even express the disappointment that I've spent so many years in that womb of trauma, just trying to find my way out. I feel like I lost the best years of my life. So that happened right around 37, 38, 39. Still had so much vitality, so much life, so much, and just physical as well, like so physically strong and capable. And now I'm 52, almost 53. And I feel like those 15 years were just sacrificed to nothing. Like 15 of the best years of my life where I've just been trapped in this womb of trauma. And as I come out, I'm just so disappointed. And I go, why? Why did those need to happen that way? Why did I need to spend so many years in that trauma womb? Like, why were the best years of my life wasted? Just feel like they're wasted. So many years just cycling through all of the meditations I've done. I mean, I've done 12 10-day Vipassana meditations, and I've done dozens of ayahuasca ceremonies, and I've done psilocybin, and I've done counseling, and I've done EMDR. I mean, it's funny, people meet me, they're like, well, have you tried? I'm like, don't tell me. Just don't even ask. If it exists, I probably tried it. Nearly everything has helped. Nothing has cured, but whatever. Whatever. So it's like, why did I just look back and I go, I don't know why. Like, why would that be all of my ancestral work? I mean, I've done so much ancestral work. And but why? Like, why would this? I wish Ram Dass was here. I wish he talks about it a lot. And I think one of my favorite talks that he gives, he talks about when he first came back from India, and if anyone came to him for advice, like what they should do. And he said when he first came back from India, he was like, you should go into the forest and you should meditate and find your quiet and really, find that, that really hardcore center you, beautiful, whatever. And then in this talk, he's saying, he goes, but now, if you came to me now, he said, and you said, hey, I'm trying to figure out what to do and da 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 da, and really deepen my spiritual experience. And Ram Dass said, I would tell him to go sit in the middle of the city, sit with the homeless, sit in the middle of the shit. That's where you're going to find your deepest spiritual experiences. And I guess I lean on that a lot because so much of, I feel like so much of our spirituality today is so pure. Like that if you've reached some pure, enlightened, peaceful state, then you've arrived. And if that's true, then my whole life is has been a failure. And so for me, I've decided to take the Ram Dass route, which is sit in the shit. And if you're sitting in the shit and doing the best you can with that, then that's your deepest spiritual work. Because my journey hasn't been clean and it hasn't been pristine or pure or clear or even logical or anything. Like it's just so, yeah, a lot of just right now, I feel like in my life, I'm just kind of, as I'm coming out of that trauma wound, first just dealing with the huge disappointment that I spent so long in there. It was hideous. Like I would have gotten out sooner if I could. But just so disappointed sort of to arrive back to life and to feel like I've lost so much of my life. It doesn't make sense. And also just sort of looking around going, okay, with the pieces that I have, that we're able to sort of, it's interesting. I'll come back. Don't let me forget. I'm trying to remember. I want to come back to this moment and talk about coming out of this trauma wound. But before I do, I want to mention a story. I think I've mentioned it before, but never deeply enough. So there's a book called Stealing Benefacio's Roses by Martin Prechtel. Last name of the author is Prechtel, Martin Prechtel. Stealing Benefacio's Roses. In that book, in the middle somewhere, there's a story of a young man who goes down into the depths, and he plays a game basically with chaos and chance, and he's trying to get back what he loves. He goes down, he happens to win. Chaos and chance gives him what he loves, and then he has to trudge back up from the underworld, back up. And on that journey, in order to save himself, he basically has to sacrifice all that he loves, which is what he went down there in the first place to get it. And he gets lucky enough to win it back, but then on his journey out, he has to give a lot of it back. It's called The Toe Bone and the Tooth. It's the name of the story. It's an old indigenous Mayan story. So, or I might not quite have that right. It's an old indigenous story from Central America. Let's start with that. So when he gets out, he has very little left. He has almost nothing left, but he does get out. Okay, so now I come back. This is where I feel like I am in the story, is I come back from the dead. I'm finally out of this trauma wound. But I get here and I'm like, I've lost all that I love. I had to sacrifice like so much. And I just have these few little, the toe bone and the tooth. I have these like, this, I have like nothing practically is how I feel. And I don't know why. Why make the descent into the underworld? Like, why do all that work just to come back with like nothing? And I guess, I assume if you're watching this, you've done the descent, or you're doing the descent, or you will do the descent, or you, like me, have also come out. So you understand what an incredible journey that is. And to do all that and come back and not have all that you had hoped to recover. Again, it's just sort of that disappointment and that why? Like, why? So that's where I am, coming out of this trauma womb with far less than I'd hoped and having lost so much and wondering it's not really understanding so much of the life and death and life process and cycle and why. And also wondering, like, as I'm coming out and I'm seeing clearly and I'm getting my mind back, my mind thinks clearly again, and getting the strength of my body back. And it's not just even the strength, it's like the alignment, like my body is realigning and reforming into what I remember. Not so like what it's been like for years. And also, I feel my heart opening again in a way that it used to. Um, so, feeling myself begin to live again. But still, this lingering, sort of like I'm looking back. I'm still looking back down, where I've come from and just asking why. But I don't think that's a good idea. But I'm not fighting myself anymore, or less and less. So if some part of me is like, I want to know why we did that, I'm taking the time to say, I don't know. I don't know why we went down to those depths and spent all that time and came back with what appears to be so little. And maybe, obviously in the toe bone and the tooth, they're immense. They become everything. But I don't know if I believe that yet. And certainly haven't experienced that. So that's where I am on my journey right now. More and more realizing that choosing to lead a life of love and compassion and goodwill is not going to be as peaceful as I thought. Meaning there's going to be a lot of tumultuousness in me at times. Because extending goodwill and compassion and love to others when they're making choices that really make us sad or feel like a great loss, or sometimes even a betrayal. Like you put so much into a relationship and then the person decides, something else. It can feel like a loss and a betrayal. And again, I know that I can see it differently. And in the past, I've quickly gone and just immediately switched my perspective. But I would say it's been false and forced. So I'm allowing myself to go, oh, that feels like a loss and a betrayal. Allowing myself to feel that. I can go to the, cerebral side and see that it's not, it's just someone else on their journey. But I don't immediately go there anymore. Allow myself to be more present with all the parts of me, all the feelings that I have, all the different personalities inside of me. I think I mentioned last time IFS, Internal Family Systems, by Richard Schwartz. Pretty sure that's his name. I'm still allowing that to sort of guide my process at this time, allowing all the different parts of me, like whatever has survived the descent into the depths and managed to come back out. They're pretty hardy folks that are, the different parts of me that made it out. And so I'm honoring them by saying, I hear you, I feel you, I'm listening. I'm experiencing what you're experiencing. I'm not invalidating or dismissing your experience. If you made it this far with me, you deserve to be heard and acknowledged. You don't get to stand alone and say you're right. No part of me, I don't think there's any part of me that's right. Obviously, there's some core part of me that seems to be the I don't even the because I was gonna say the eye of the storm. That part of me that's the eye of the storm. Um, all the other parts get to be witnessed by that eye and have their voices heard. So one thing I'm happy about is I'm singing a lot more. I've always loved to sing. Singing is a very soulful experience for me. And I'm singing, with folk stuff, and more quiet choral stuff, in various places, just allowing my voice um, to be heard, to be expressed, to be seen, acknowledged. That feels really good. Two little Finnegans sitting here on my lap. He got all snuggled in. I guess I just want to take a moment and acknowledge, like, all of whoever's out there, all of you, or just you. Just acknowledge you and whatever descents you've been through, and come out on the other side with whatever parts have remained. Just honoring those. And I wouldn't say, like, it's not like the parts of me that remain are like the best or my favorite. Some of them are actually pretty gnarly, or I'm not even sure I know how they're helpful yet. But if they survived, then I figure they probably are. They probably got me through things that I couldn't have gotten through without them there. So I'm just kind of I feel like I'm about done. I was just trying to listen and think if there was anything else to share today. I think that's it. Just allowing myself to be disappointed. After so much hard work, to not. It's like if you survived like the gnarliest winter. You're up with the Inuit in Alaska and you survived the gnarliest winter up in the Arctic. You're up in survive the gnarliest winter, and you finally crawl out of this frozen wasteland, and it's supposed to be springtime. You think it's spring. You think it should be springtime, and you come out and it's just says you can't see any light. And you're like, what? I just survived like the hardest thing, and I'm not sure why. So that's where I am. And so if that's where you are, you're welcome to just be here with me. I don't doubt that this moment will change. I don't doubt that there's life that I can't see. But I also don't doubt the power of just allowing myself to experience what seems like a journey for naught, or what feels like a journey for naught. And allowing myself to be wrong, to feel this and to feel like this is the truth. And then seeing maybe quickly, oh, it's so far from the truth. And that's another thing. More and more, I used to really pride myself on my intuition and my sort of messages and whatnot. And still, there have been plenty of times when they are right, but I'm starting to also acknowledge the times when they're not, when they're completely off. And you never know rarely are you, I mean, you just never know. And so I'm allowing myself to be wrong. And just go, yeah, I didn't get that one right. I swear that's how that was, and that wasn't how that was. Which doesn't make all of my intuition wrong, right? It doesn't suddenly mean that some of it's not right. It just means sometimes it's right and sometimes it's not. And I think that's true for everyone. So a little humility goes a long way with knowing. So I'm just blabbing now, wanting to stay connected, and I should probably see what time it is. I bet I need to go to work soon. So sending you all my love and my goodwill and my compassion, which I do after every meditation. And so I hope you can receive what is being offered freely and with love. And you have a beautiful, beautiful day. Bye-bye.